How to do wedding consultations to book high-ticket wedding photography or filmmaking packages. What's up, guys? Jordan Correces here, co-owner of the WLMA, the most result-based business mastermind for wedding photographers and filmmakers worldwide. We have almost 1,000 students. We've helped scale a ton of our students to the six-figure and multiple six-figure level. And in this short video, I'm going to be breaking down how to do wedding consultations the right way so you can book those $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 wedding photography or filmmaking packages. We've taught a ton of our students this, which has helped a ton of our students get to the high-end level and even scale to the six-figure or multiple six-figure level. But before we get started, be sure to like, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more of our content. All right, so how we do wedding consultations to book those $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 wedding photography or filmmaking packages. So before you get on those wedding consultations, you probably got an inquiry from a prospect, a wedding couple, and you want to meet with these couples either in person or on Zoom as much as possible. That is the best way to build trust. And you want to make sure you have at least one album or pictures of albums that you can screen share, or if you're a videographer, a video as well. Maybe a 2 to 5 minute highlight film or story. So this is how the wedding consultation begins. In the beginning, we're just trying to build as much rapport as possible. So obviously starting the conversation very authentic and casual with small talk, getting to know them a little bit. You don't want this to last too long. But one question I like to ask to build rapport and break the ice, I'll just kind of be like, so before we get started, can you briefly tell me a little bit more about your story? How'd you guys meet? How'd you guys get engaged? I love to hear. And I just open up maybe a couple minutes, 5 minutes of time for them to excitedly tell me their story, how they met, how they got engaged. And most people will be really excited to share that. And this is going to ease the nerves, build rapport, build trust, break the ice, etc. You don't want this to go on too long. Some people are talkers. You don't want it going on 20, 30 minutes of just this. Make sure you are able to lead and guide the conversation and focus back, to the consultation. So after small talk, after getting to know their story a little bit, this part's really important here, and we are going to state the agenda. Stating the agenda is very important so the couple knows exactly what is going on in this consultation, what they are to expect, so nothing sneaks up to them. So when I state the agenda, I'll pretty much say, so how this meeting is going to go, I'm going to ask the both of you some questions about your wedding. Get to know your likes and dislikes, see exactly what you need, what you're looking for. Secondly, after I feel like I've built the clarity of that, I'm going to briefly show you an album so you can see if this is something that's a good fit for you. Obviously, for videographers, you'll say that you're going to show a video. Finally, after that, I'm going to open up time to answer any questions that you have, go over all the information that you need. So you have all the information you need to plan. You can see if this is something that's a good fit for you. And if it's not a good fit, totally cool. I can possibly recommend you to someone who is a good fit. And we stated the agenda. And the reason why I say that at the end, that if it's not a good fit, that's totally okay. I can recommend you to someone else. That eases their nerves about being sold to. No one likes to be sold to. No one likes to feel like they're going to be forced or obligated to do anything. So that lets them know, cool, he's not needy. He's not desperate. If it's not a good fit, that's okay. We can be referred to someone else. And setting the agenda is really important so you can take lead of the conversation. The couple wants to be led because they don't know what to expect. Now, secondly, right after we do that, we're going into the discovery phase. This part is really important. So first thing we're going to be doing in the discovery phase, you need to come up with questions that you truly need to know. So you're going to be asking questions you need to know to see if they are actually an ideal client, because they may not be. And if they're not, you may need to refer them to someone else. And that's totally okay. But you're going to be asking those questions so you can get to know their style, what they're looking for, what their wedding's supposed to be like, what they want from photography. And this is really important because not only are you really building clarity for yourself so you can see if they're a good fit and you can see what their needs are, but when you ask these questions to them, it's also building clarity to them because a lot of these prospects that are reaching out, they don't have a deep enough understanding of what they want for their wedding day. So these discovery questions are going to build clarity for the both of you. And especially what you really want to go deep into is their likes and dislikes. Open up time to ask questions to get to know their likes and dislikes when it comes to photography or filmmaking. Knowing their likes is going to be extremely important for phase 2 when we get to the album or video viewing. So I'll ask them at some point in the discovery phase. So this is really important here. Can you break down and list me your likes, the things you know you desire and the things you know you want when it comes to wedding photography? And if you have trouble coming up with those things, break down the things that you dislike. And as they open up, they tell you what they like and dislike. Oh, we know we want the candid shots. We know we want portraits that don't seem too posy, but have a very fine art feel to it. And we want an editing style that looks like this. That's building clarity for you. That's giving you ammunition for when you show them your album in a bit. And it's also building that clarity for them. And as they tell you what their likes are, repeat it. Okay, cool. So you want candid photos that are kind of like the in-between moments that really add to your story. Is that correct? Awesome. Cool. So you want portraits that aren't cheesy, that don't seem posed, but are very authentic and natural. Is that correct? And this way, when you repeat it back to them, they feel heard. Now, you're going to have to come up with the questions that you want as far as the discovery phase. You can get to know their likes and dislikes so you can see what they're all about, see if they're an ideal client. But once you finish that discovery phase, now we're moving on to phase 2, the actual album or video viewing. So when I'm done discovery, I'll ask a question like, okay, cool, this was really helpful. Is it okay if I briefly show you an album so you can see if this is something that's a good fit for you? Or if you're a videographer, is it okay if I show you a 4-minute video so you can see if this is a good fit for you or not? And 99% of the time they'll be like, yeah, sure, we'd love to see. So now you have permission to move on to the next step. So for videographers, you want to show your best, 2 to 5 minute highlight video or story that most closely represents, your style, what you're all about, what they're going to want to see. For photographers, you want to show an album of a complete wedding day. If it's on Zoom, these can be photos and screen shared of the album. And I personally like to do albums because album design has a very special design that works really well to tell a story versus just showing a slideshow. Album designs, you can show photos that lead up to the main bigger photos that really give an emotional pull. I share an album that's maybe about 30 spreads. And what you want to do, you want to have stories prepared, reinforcing the things they said they liked and desired for their wedding day. So as I'm going through this album, I'm answering questions I know they're already going to ask. Hours, what they should be expecting. But most importantly, I have stories prepared for what I know they're going to say that they desire for their wedding day. Let's say the couple said that they really desire candid photojournalism photos for their wedding day. I'll go to this one photo. It's of the bride's mother. She's crying. She's at her daughter's knees, appreciating, seeing her girl, grown up at this moment in her life. And I'll tell the story like this. So I was at the ceremony and the wedding was running late. The bride was still getting prepared. And so I decided I'm going to step back into the bride prep. And when I stepped into the door, immediately I saw this moment of the bride's mother in tears with her daughter. And this is what I call the in-between moments, because this moment right here is not something that's super obvious on the wedding day. It's those moments that really truly happen behind the scenes. It's what makes the experience so beautiful, but they're often not captured. So I call these the in-between moments. And these are the types of moments I try to capture that aren't the most obvious in front of everyone's eyes, but when you look in the right places, you can find these special candid moments to capture so you can remember. And whenever I tell that story, I always see a gleam in the couple's eyes. So when you look for certain moments and stories in your album that you can tell like that, and you'll see that they're resonating and their emotions are building up as you tell those stories. Maybe it's for portraits. You can come up for examples for that if you're not much of a photojournalist. For video, it's a little bit different because you're just playing a video. You don't want to stop a video and explain things. You've already created the story yourself. So for video, you don't need to stop and tell stories. Just allow your visual storytelling and video to tell itself. But most importantly, what we're doing when it comes to the album viewings is we know what they said that they liked. We're using that as ammunition now, and I'm sharing stories and photos directly related to what they said they like. I'm not actually saying that to them, but I am subconsciously connecting that. That way they build an even more powerful newfound clarity and emotional response to the images. And at this point, we're getting them emotionally invested in our work. So at this point, I've gone through the entire photo album. I got them really excited. I've told them awesome stories on how we captured this day. I've connected it to what they like. I've answered majority of the questions that I already know that they're going to ask anyways. So I don't have as many questions to ask at the end. And after I go through the album, I'll usually say this. Now, after reviewing the album, what is it that particularly resonates with you? and I just let them tell me. And the reason why I do this is so they can summarize in their brain what they truly like from me. I'm not even selling to them. I'm allowing them to tell me and pretty much sell themselves to my work. And if you allow them to tell you what they like, you don't have to do it. And it's a lot more powerful if they tell you. Now, after I ask them that question there, I'll open up time for questions. What questions do you have for me? Now, in the album viewing portion of this consultation, you've probably answered majority of the questions. How many hours that are necessarily needed for preparations, for reception, what they should be expecting in certain times. So that way you have less questions you have to deal with in the end. And finally, you want to wait for them to ask about price. And it's important that you wait for them to ask about price. And the reason is because it comes across a lot less salesy. If you're suddenly just diving in about prices, they may put their guard up like, oh, he's selling me, even though that's not necessarily the case. So I wait for them to ask the price question. And that way they are pursuing you, you're not necessarily pursuing them. And that frames things correctly. So finally, they're going to ask about price. And when you share your prices, you want to make sure you're confidently sharing your prices from highest to lowest. Make sure you are confident, you're not sheepish, you're not shy about this. You slow down so they don't have information overload. And after I break down those prices, I let them know that I can only hold their date for 7 days. This way they can get that information, share it with their family, see if it's the right fit with no pressure. After you share the packages, you'll probably be answering more questions that they have as well. And after you finish any other questions that they have, you can end the consultation. And a good thing to know is if they have questions after you share the prices, that's actually a good sign. It means that they like your work and they're thinking in their mind if everything looks good. So if they have questions after you share the price, that's actually a good sign. And then finally, since you're holding their date for them for 7 days, follow up 2 days before their deadline. And if it's a yes, send the invoice, send the contract, and collect that deposit. And that is the wedding consultation process in a nutshell on how we book those super high-end $5,000 to even $10,000 wedding packages. Now, I have good and bad news. This is a gist of our entire process. We do have an entire script from beginning to end. The exact script, when it comes to small talk, stating the agenda, the questions we ask in discovery, more details on how we do that album or video viewing process, a lot of the ways that we handle the end of the consultation, because there's a lot of different things that can go there. And because our actual students in the WLMA program actually pay and invest to be part of the program and, learn this script, learn this process, learn how to get leads, learn how to book high ticket weddings, I cannot morally share you the entire script for you to learn. But I still wanted to give you a gist on how we do this wedding consultation. And even following this process is going to help you a lot when it comes to doing wedding consultations correctly, booking those higher end weddings. But if you are someone who's very serious, in mastering the sales process, learning how to get 20 to 100 leads a month, learning how to build funnels, you can actually learn more at this link right over here. Go in the description of this video, click this link. You can learn more about joining our program so we can teach you this entire process. And we'll show you how we've helped people scale to 6 figures in sometimes 6 to 9 months, which has been absolutely insane. But for now, be sure to screenshot this video so you have this process. Practice it. Practice this process a lot. I want you guys to book a lot more high ticket weddings this year. And if you found this video helpful, please be sure to like, comment any questions that you have. I'll be sure to answer. Hit that subscribe button, that notification bell so you don't miss out on more of our content. Anyways, guys, hope you found this helpful. We'll see you on the next one.